when they simply died. More and more deaths without previous wounding or illness alarmed the leadership of the Sixth Army, trapped in Stalingrad at the end of 1942. Hypothermia and exhaustion were suspected. None of the 600 or so doctors in the pocket dared to speak of starvation. In order to gain clarity, one of the pathologists of the Sixth Army, Dr. Med. Hans Gurgensohn, who was outside the pocket, was requested. He reports about his special mission.
The order arrived in Tazinskaya in the Don Steppe, in the afternoon of December 15, 1942. Having been designated for the mission, after a bad night of bombing, I went to the staff of the army doctor outside the pocket to Morozovskaya, where the senior field doctor explained to me the mission, the clarification of the cause of death among the unwounded soldiers, and demonstrated on the map the imminent unloading of the pocket from the southwest, which failed 6 days later. At dawn on December 17, 1942, on the airfield, issuing orders to the 4-man crew of the fighter plane, that had stacked ammunition boxes and commissary bread as cargo, and was to take me along, to fly around the Russian anti-aircraft barrage on the Don River to the south, to break north between the barrage and the Russian fighter airfields to the pocket, to fly alone if there was cloud cover, otherwise only with the requested fighter protection. The pilot said to me,
"We don't have a parachute for you. You fly at your own risk."
Clouds until the dawn, then blue sky, far and wide no German fighter, turned back. On December 18, 1942 the same approach, but between the Don and the Volga scattered clouds, jumping from cloud to cloud, the tail gunner bumps into me.
"We were lucky, Potomac is down there."
I saw a brown crater landscape in the white snow cover. Staff physician, Dr. Segel, instructed me, determined my location in an Army field hospital, in a Balka ravine near the Gumarak railroad station, close to the Army High Command, where I also found the 2 section assistants, and arranged via the division physicians, for direct telephone notification to me, of the deaths to be examined. A car with driver and sufficient gasoline, with strictest rationing in the pocket, was at my disposal. The accommodation was luxurious by pocket standards, an earth bunker in the clay of the steep Balka wall, with a wooden wall in front, in it 2 double-decker cots with sheets, a table and an iron stove heated, with wood from the house rubble of Stalingrad. The wounded lay in an erected wooden barrack, in a very confined space. A large tent could only be used for material, because of the cold. The trips to the sections in the pocket, which was 30 to 50 km in diameter, were exhausting. It was necessary to improvise and find unconventional ways, to carry out the mission successfully. An earth bunker, if a village was available, a temporarily vacated room in a hut, a railroad car or a tent, were provided as section rooms. Once I conducted 3 sections in a row, in the open air in a snow hollow, at -30 degrees and under the rumble of repeated low-flying air raids. Hot water was repeatedly brought from a small bunker, so that I could thaw my frozen fingers, stuck in rubber gloves. I noted most of the starvation deaths, in the unfortunate 113th Infantry Division. As I was told, the paymasters had been awarded medals, for cutting rations in the fall before the onset of the mud period, with temporary interruption of food supplies, thus hoarding sufficient supplies for that period. During the load balancing in the pocket, because some divisions had lost all supplies, the well-supplied division had to give up everything and, with its already malnourished soldiers, became the preferred victim of starvation. The problem of thawing frozen corpses was difficult to solve. In most cases, the medical services of the individual units succeeded in leaving the corpse in a covered room until dissection. Often, however, the dead man could not be brought back from the positions until he was frozen. At the already mentioned 113th Division in the Rosashka Valley, I dissected several times in an earth bunker. The night before, a medic had to heat the iron stove, and turn the corpse over and over, at the stove to thaw it. At one point, the overtired and exhausted man had fallen asleep. The result was a corpse, frozen on the left, and seared on the right. After the dissection of 3 heavies, these were Soviet soldiers willing to help, who were prisoners of war, and served in German units. The young German officer of the unit asked me about the cause of death. To my diagnosis, starved to death, he declared, obviously completely surprised,
"That is impossible. They get the same rations as we do, 3 slices of bread, and half a liter of good horse meat soup, which consisted of water with 4 to 5 small meat cubes.
The momentous diagnosis could be made only if another cause of death could be excluded, which I found after all in half of the cases. And the pathological changes with the complete loss of fatty tissue, the reduction, atrophy, of the heart and liver, the loss of skeletal muscles, and the enlargement of the right ventricle, were proving only when repeated in a larger number of cases. Death by starvation is undramatic. The light of life, burning only with the smallest of flames, is suddenly extinguished like a spent candle. It was not uncommon for a soldier, lying in position to declare to the sergeant or NCO making the rounds,
"I'm fine, I want to eat something now."
Often a small piece of canned fatty meat, which was flown in as particularly high calorie in preference, and was found dead on the next round. The necropsy then regularly revealed, in the completely fat tissue-free mesentery of the small intestine, a plump yellow filling of all lymphatic vessels, with the resorbed fat, as can otherwise only be seen in anatomical injection preparations. The onset of the digestive work had overwhelmed the circulation, and led to death. In the period from December 19 to 31, 1942, I made 50 corpse openings. Exactly 25 of these dead were starved to death, many of the other cases, highly emaciated. That was enough irrefutable proof. On New Year's Eve I wrote the report to the Army doctor, and on New Year's morning handed it over to the staff physician, Dr. Segel, who immediately forwarded it to Colonel General Friedrich Paulus. The proof of death by starvation, inconceivable as it may seem to us today, was a surprise, and hit like a bomb. But it was too late. The inadequate supplies from the air collapsed altogether. On January 10, 1943, the final offensive of the Soviet Army began. On February 2, 1943, I marched into captivity for 7 years, with the consulting surgeon, Professor Gross, whom I had met by chance, in the last days in the so-called Northern Pocket. Dr. Segel shot himself, as did many other officers. Of the 250,000 people trapped in the Stalingrad pocket, apart from wounded who were flown out, the consensus estimate is that 5,000 to 6,000 returned.